Welcome to On the Money with Secure Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I am fantastic. It's always good to see you.
I know. It's so good to see you.
I always look forward to our shows together because I know that you have been so extremely busy. Obviously, we were talking about this when we were entering the studio today. Yeah. Your phone has been ringing off the hook. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Very, very busy office.
Yeah, lots of questions.
I think, I think what it shows is that people are hungry for good advice. And we really try to educate as much as we can to share with people, ways to avoid the pitfalls when it comes to retirement planning.
Sure.
So we feel very blessed. People are driving a long way to come to our office and see us. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot of value in what we're providing because most people today retiring do not have a real retirement plan. Mm. They typically have what I call their POS, mm-hmm. which stands for pile of stuff.
Yep.
Right? And usually it's a bunch of maybe mutual funds, life insurance policies, maybe some old 401ks. Well, what do you do with all this? How do you actually build a strategy, right, that actually helps you get to retirement and through retirement without the risk of running out of money or not having enough money? So we feel very blessed with how busy we are.
Sure. Well, I know people are so hungry for that information, Brian. We were also talking about that this morning, that people just don't know where to go to get that valuable information. One of the reasons being, obviously, retirement in the past. A lot of people had pensions that came in, and so it made it a little bit easier, if you will, to plan if you know what's coming in.
That's absolutely right, yeah.
But, Brian, what happens when there's not a pension in place?
Which is most of the people retiring today. That's the scary part about it. 85 to 90% of people retiring today do not have a pension.
Wow.
So it didn't take employers a long time to figure out that it was a lot cheaper to provide a 401k plan or some type of 403b or 457 plan, right, where they're going to make a contribution on your behalf. It was a lot cheaper for them to provide that than have to worry about paying the employee an income for the rest of their life. So they said, well, we'll start to make contributions to these accounts. The employee can save, but it's going to be the employee's responsibility when they retire to generate that income. You talk to most married couples today and even single people, they'll tell you Social Security is not enough money for them to live off of.
Sure.
So they are going to need additional income. Now, here's where it gets really scary. When you start to withdraw money from your retirement accounts, how do you know you're not going to run out of money?
That's a great question, Brian.
And
how do you know?
Well, you don't unless you have a plan, right? You've got to be able to pressure test your plans to figure that out. Most people, when they come in, Cynthia, the number one thing they'll ask is, are we on the right track? Are we doing the right things? Folks, I would tell you, if you feel like you're not on the right track, when would you want to know that? If you are on the right track, wouldn't it be good to know that? And for most people, they've never sat down with somebody that focuses on the distribution phase of retirement. Most people always are talking about the accumulation phase, how to actually grow and accumulate your money. That's actually the easy part. But specializing in the distribution phase, the same strategies and techniques that you use during your accumulation phase are not the same strategies and techniques you're going to use during your distribution phase. It's a completely different process.
Sure.
And that's the thing we do really, really well at Secure Money Advisors is we've got a really great process to bring people through and showing them how when the paycheck stops, right? Bills, taxes, all those things that you want to do, that's not going to stop.
Exactly.
So you're going to have to replace that paycheck, and we teach people how to take 35, 40 years worth of work and actually create an income from it. And an income that they can rely on, that they're not at the risk of running out of money.
And Brian, what about when life happens? Because obviously we know we have a plan in place, but sometimes things happen to change that plan. Is the plan adjustable to any life situation?
Well, that's exactly the point of having a plan, right? Because when life does show up, and it will, I've been doing this for, over 21 years, and life does show up.
Yeah.
But because we have a real mathematical model that we use at Secure Money Advisors. If somebody were to call me and say, hey, we're in a situation and we need to take $50,000 out of our accounts, what's that going to do? We can actually plug that into the model based on what's going on right now with the model, returns, right, maybe past performance, and look at what the impact of that withdrawal would do to the portfolio. Now, what kind of peace of mind would you have if you knew you could make a phone call and you could say, I need this money, and you're not getting an answer where you say, you know, most people tell me, well, my advisor says I'm just going to be okay. No, 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 no.
Yeah, we don't want that.
We don't want that. We need to actually mathematically look at what that impact is going to do.
Yeah.
And this is the importance of building a mathematical model so that you can plug these things in. It's no different than manage your own money. If you only have so much in your checking account and it's only earning so much interest, you've got to be able to determine, if I take out this much money, how much longer is this going to last, or am I going to run out of money before the end of the month? Retirement is a little bit the same, but it's a little bit more difficult than that, right?
Sure.
And there's a lot of moving parts on top of it.
Sure. Brian, the benefits of working with a fiduciary, why is that important to the viewing audience today?
Well, you'd hope that no matter who somebody is working with, that they're going to get advice that's in their best interest. But the fiduciary standard is the highest standard in the industry, meaning we have to do what's in our client's best interest. So maybe the client comes in and says that they're risk adverse, right? Well, I just can't go out and just do whatever I want. I've got to do what's right for them based around what they need. And so the fiduciary standard just holds us to a higher accountability than what we would call the suitability standard. Most people today understand that a fiduciary works in the client's best interest. Most people today understand what a fiduciary is, and they want to work with a fiduciary. And I think it's very important that as you go through the decision process of choosing who you're going to work with, make sure that you do work with a fiduciary.
So that's an okay question to ask. If someone in the viewing audience is wondering, and if they currently are working with someone, they can just call them up and say, can you tell me, are you a fiduciary?
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
well, people have done that before. So, you know,
Okay.
people come into my office and say, you know, we did go back to those other advisors we were interviewing and asked if they were a fiduciary. And the one guy said that, well, not yet, but we're working on it, right? So people do go out and ask that question, and they should be. I think it's one of the number one questions they should be asking as they're looking to choose who they're going to trust with their retirement savings.
Well, it makes perfect sense, Brian, because obviously you would want to work with someone who had their best interests at heart, not what you would gain personally, but what they would need actually to survive and thrive, especially in the retirement years when money can be very tricky and hard to navigate without a plan.
I always say the fiduciary responsibility is very simple. What would I do for my mom and dad?
Yeah.
If that's what I'm going to do for mom and dad, then that's what I'm going to, right? That's our litmus test when we're doing that. And that's the fiduciary responsibility.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, I know that you have a special offer to the viewers at home today. Let's talk a little bit about what that is and then open up the phone lines.
Yeah, folks, if you want to know if you're on the right track, you know, it's the most important part of the planning process to determine, are you pointing in the right direction? If you weren't pointing in the right direction, when would you want to know that? Now would be a good time. For the next 10 callers who call in, we're going to give you a complimentary retirement analysis. We're going to go through 5 key areas when you come in. We're going to talk about how to build income in retirement. We're going to talk about how to save on taxes, how to properly position your investments, how to protect yourself from a healthcare event. And most importantly, when the good Lord takes you home, we want to make sure that the money goes to your family, to your loved ones, to your charities, and not to Uncle Sam. But you've got to do your part. You've got to pick up the phone and call 1-888-382-1298. Again, that's 1-888-382-1298.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 888-382-1298. We know you have a lot of questions about how to plan for your perfect stress-free retirement. Brian is offering you the consultation. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call. Be one of the first 10 callers only. That number is 888-382-1298. We have to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. I'm going to have so much more with Brian when we return.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to On the Money with Secure Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, a great show that we're having today, and I love talking about the importance of planning for retirement because so many of the viewing audience at home, if you will, they might have a lot of questions about how to do that and some of the things that perhaps they should be thinking about. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit, if we could, about taxes. For people that are in the viewing audience today, approaching their retirement years, perhaps in the retirement years, how important is it to focus on tax planning?
It's very important, and it's one of our 5 key areas. So when you come into Secure Money Advisors and we start to look at where you're currently at, we're going to look at the 5 key areas: income, taxes, investments, healthcare, and legacy planning.
Okay.
So income, why is income so important? Because we can't retire without income. We need income on a monthly basis to live. But we have to remember that when you're generating income, you're probably also going to have to pay taxes.
Sure.
Now, I don't know about the viewing audience, but do you think taxes are going to be going up or down in the future? Most people believe that they're going to be going up. And if that's the case, then we want to make sure that the retirement income that we're generating is tax efficient. Here's why. Let's say an individual needs $1,000 a month in income. And let's suppose that they're in a 20% tax bracket. So we know after they pay the 20% in taxes, they're only netting $800. But what happens when the taxes go to 30%? Now that same withdrawal of $1,000 is only going to be netting them $700. So what we have here is we are actually seeing our wealth deplete through taxation. Now you add inflation on top of that, and you can see how people's over time can be very, very compressed. Now, if we're doing proper planning, right, is we're going to actually focus on how do we create some or all of the money that we generate on a monthly basis to be tax-free. So most people probably know of a Roth conversion. A Roth conversion is we're taking taxable money and we're turning it into tax-free money.
Okay.
So let's just suppose that with good planning, which you would get at Secure Money Advisors, we're doing tax planning to get you to the point to where your money is now tax-free when we go to withdraw it, or at least a good portion of it. So let's use the example of the $1,000 again. So we got $1,000, but now we're pulling it from a Roth IRA. We've got, let's say that person's in a 20% tax bracket. It doesn't matter anymore because the withdrawal from the Roth IRA is tax-free. So the $1,000 you take, you're going to get $1,000. Let's say tax rates go to 30%. Doesn't matter. You're still going to get $1,000 because the tax planning based around IRS guidelines allows us to go from taxable money to tax-free money so that when we pull it out down the road, it's all tax-free. And that's the proper way to do it. Now, there's lots of other advanced tax strategies that we can use, like charitable partnerships and things along those lines for high net worth individuals that want to maybe get tax deductions. And those are things that we do really, really well also. But for most people, they're looking to make their income as tax efficient as possible.
Okay. Brian, I want to ask you, what's the difference between a Roth conversion and a Roth contribution?
Yeah, well, the conversion does not have a limit. So where a contribution and I'd have to check, but I believe the max contribution is $7,000 this year, or $7,500, somewhere around there, depending on your age bracket. But that doesn't really matter. There's a limit or a ceiling of how much you can contribute to a Roth IRA. So, $7,000. You're not going to be able to accumulate a whole lot of money year after year in a Roth IRA, only contributing $7,000.
True.
The conversion has no limit, though. So if I have $100,000 sitting in a traditional IRA or 401k, and I want to go from a taxable account to a tax-free account, I can convert all $100,000. The IRS has no problem with this. And this is what we can also call a backdoor conversion, where we're actually, maybe you don't actually qualify because your income might be too high. You can contribute to a traditional and then immediately convert it. But again, those are a little bit more complicated strategies, but that's what we do at Secure Money Advisors. And that's why I would recommend that you come in, because making sure you're on the right track is not about how much you have saved. It's all about how are we going to take that pile of money that you've earned over your lifetime and actually build a strategy around it that works for you, not only from an income perspective, but a tax perspective, making sure that your investments are positioned the best they can be in retirement. See, most people that are retiring will tell me that they can't afford at this point in their life to lose a lot of money.
Of course.
And when we do a risk analysis on their portfolio, we see that they're actually at a lot of risk, meaning if the markets were to go down, they could lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they're not aware of that. They had no idea, or they're paying unnecessary fees that they don't need to be paying. So there's more to retirement planning than just the interest rate that you're growing your money at, right? Because then we get into even when you turn 65, you got to think about Medicare and Medicare supplements. And you want to work with a firm that's all encompassing so that no matter what the need is, it can be solved with your financial planners at that specific firm. And you don't have to go to multiple places to get it done. And that's the way we design Secure Money Advisors. It's kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, right? To where you can get all of your retirement planning needs met, whether it be income, taxes, legacy planning with estates, wills, you name it. Secure Money Advisors has the partnerships to be able to do that.
Brian, how detrimental is it to someone going into retirement without a plan, in your opinion?
I would say it would be the worst thing you could do.
Okay.
And most people, when they come in, are not on the right track. They've done a good job saving, but they are just not on the right track for retirement. And it's scary because my industry has done a really poor job in teaching people what a real retirement plan should look like.
Yeah.
And once people understand the areas that they need to focus on, and they understand the best practices that they need to make sure that their portfolio is having, they get a sense of peace, right? There's a peace of mind that comes with having a thorough plan. Yeah. And that's the whole goal. I jokingly say to, my team at Secure Money Advisors, I said, we provide sleep insurance.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
when somebody has a plan, they sleep well at night.
They sleep well at night. Absolutely. Well, Brian, I know you have a special offer to the viewers at home today. Let's talk a little bit about what that is once again before we reopen the phone lines.
Yeah, folks, we're going to be giving away for the next 10 callers a complimentary portfolio analysis. Have you ever wondered whether or not you're on the right track? It is the #1 question we get all the time at Secure Money Advisors. If you weren't on the right track, when would you want to know? Now would be a good time to know. So for the next 10 callers, again, that's a complimentary retirement analysis that we're going to give away at no cost, no obligation when you come in. But you've got to do your part. You've got to pick up the phone and call 1-888-382-1298. Again, that's 1-888-382-1298.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are once again now open. That number to call is 888-382-1298. We know you have a lot of questions about how to retire comfortably, how to retire with confidence. Brian is offering you a complimentary consultation. All you have to do today is be one of the first 10 callers. That number, once again, is 888-382-1298. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to have so much more with Brian about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to On the Money with Secure Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, I love this part of our show because we get viewer questions, and I love that we can take some time today. Would it be okay if we kind of tried to get through a few?
I'm always shocked with how many questions come in. I wish we could get to them all. I wish we could get to them all.
And I love the shows that we've devoted in the past to just doing because there's so many.
I agree.
So we have time for a couple. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. This is a great question, Brian. I am curious. Can IRAs be held jointly by spouses?
They cannot.
Okay.
They cannot. So a lot of people will ask me, what if we were to put all this money into one account? Would we get a better rate of return? Well, what you have to understand is that the IRS doesn't want you commingling dollars. So if you're husband and wife, they have to stay in two separate accounts, and the IRS just doesn't want them coming together. And that's just the rules. Yeah. So no joint held accounts when it comes to retirement accounts.
All right, so IRA means independent retirement account?
Or individual retirement account, or independent,
okay.
Or just that.
Just me, it's all about me, okay.
Yeah. Right.
This is another great question. It says, Brian, I'm retiring from my job in June of this year.
Yeah.
I have money in a 401k and an IRA totaling approximately $200,000. I also have a pension and I will receive Social Security benefits. I still have a house payment and some other debts. My income and my debt are approximately the same. I am not looking to invest any of my retirement money. What type of advisor should I see to help me budget my retirement savings and pay off some debt?
Whew, wow.
That's a long one. Should I read it again?
That's a long one. Did they say that they weren't looking to invest their retirement savings?
They are not. I am not looking to invest.
So they just want to protect it. They want to protect it is basically what they're saying. Yeah. I mean, you want to work with somebody that believes in protection. I mean, that's Secure Money Advisors was designed around that because I'm not a gambler. I don't believe you need to be gambling when you get to retirement. I always say when you've won the game, there's no reason to keep playing it anymore. And what people have to understand is your pile does eventually get big enough that all you have to do is not lose and you'll be fine. Because people don't realize that in retirement, the losses will hurt you more than the gains will help you. And so not being invested in this case, somebody might be able to, think about 35, 40 years ago when people retired. It was really simple because when they retired, they did get a pension. In this case, this person is getting a pension. But they got a pension and Social Security. So that was typically enough, from those two income sources, that was typically enough for them to live off of. Now, if they did need additional income, or they did have money that they needed to invest, 35, 40 years ago, people didn't have to put that in the market to earn a return. They could buy a bank CD at like 10 or 15%. And I think even get a toaster or pots and pans that the banks used to offer.
Oh, yeah. Everyone has lots of toasters.
Yeah, right. But, nowadays the banks don't want our money. They're paying virtually zero for our money on checking, savings, money markets, CDs. And so today we're really looking and we're going, okay, well, where do I get a rate of return? Most people don't realize that if you're looking to protect money, one of the best places that you can utilize for some of that money is a fixed annuity. You can get fixed annuity rates between 3 and 4%. You can also get fixed indexed annuities that when the market goes up, you actually make money, but when the market goes down, you don't lose any money. And, people go, wow, well, how does that happen? That seems like there's a catch there. There is no catch. It's really simple. If the market goes up 10%, they don't let you earn all the 10% because they're going to protect you on the downside when it goes down. So if the market goes up 10%, they might only let you earn half. So maybe it goes up 10 and you earn 5. And let's say you had $100,000 in that account. Well, now your $100,000 goes to $105,000, and that becomes your new guaranteed balance, and it's locked in. So that means if the market goes down, the worst thing that can happen when you get your statement next year is you still have $105,000. So if you're looking to earn interest on your money, but also protect the principal, utilizing those types of accounts for some of the money could potentially be the right thing to do depending on the individual situation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you for that. This is another great question. I think we have time to tackle this one as well. Brian, I do not yet have a plan in place for retirement. I am approximately 5 years away from my last day of work. Is it too late for me to start?
This is all about the right track right here. Right?
Okay.
Well, it's never too late to start. Let me just say that. But in order to start, you got to figure out where you are on this track, right? Because what do we need to do? There's cases where we've had at Secure Money Advisors before where I've met people that have been divorced later on in life and because of the divorce lost a lot of money and now they don't have a whole lot. And they're 65 years old and they're going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to retire. Wow. Boy, there is a lot of progress you can make in a very short period of time if you have a well mapped out plan. Yeah. And this is why the sooner you plan for retirement, so this individual's 5 years from retirement, this is great because if you put yourself on the right track right now, not only will you retire on time, right, but you might even actually be able to retire earlier than what you thought. You know, there's many times we bring people in and we might have a 5 or 10-year plan for them to retire. This happened a lot during COVID, right? Especially for our older clients. They got to a point to where, you know, they were working from home. They were spending more time with their loved ones. And all of a sudden, you know, we start to come out of COVID a little bit and the companies are starting to call them back and they're going, I don't want to drive back to the city, or I don't want to drive to the office anymore. And we got multiple calls saying, Brian, can we retire earlier? And I love taking those phone calls because when we build the models, right, we're able to look and say, okay, well, what happens if we move this up about 2 years earlier than what we anticipated? And the model is able to recalculate itself, and we look at the math and we go, absolutely, let's do it. And they feel great about it because it's not just a guess. It's a mathematical calculation that determines that answer. And that's really where you get to put yourself in the driver's seat. And this is why we designed the Right Track retirement system, because it will help you get on the right track right now, but it could also help you retire earlier than you ever thought was possible. But you've got to do your part. For the next 10 callers who call in, we're going to give you a complimentary Right Track analysis. Call 1-888-382-1298. We will do a portfolio analysis of your plan.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, thank you for watching. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today.